The Oracle of Luna is a podcast with me, Bridget Engels, as your host. Here we have conversations with real live, present-day goddesses who are actively and courageously doing their magical work in the world. Each episode is a bewitching journey with relevant discussions on topics such as Wiccan pagan spirituality, writing, culture, magical practices, art, ritual, and the craft in its many forms.
Merry meet. Welcome to another episode of the Oracle of Luna podcast. I'm Bridget Engels, your host, and today I am honored to chat with the remarkable Priestess Stephanie Rose Bird. Priestess Stephanie is a black magic maker and healer. Her writing brings to the fore her eclectic practices combined with her passion for mythology, folklore, and fairy tales from around the world, but especially of her ancestry, the African diaspora. Priestess Stephanie is an award-winning author of numerous books, as well as an accomplished artist with works in several collections, institutions, and galleries. Welcome, Priestess Stephanie.
Hello, how are you? Merry meet. I love when people say that. Not everyone does, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a nice environment to be in when someone says that.
Yeah. Well, welcome. How's it going today?
It's going wonderfully. Very nice. It's a good day. It's there's not a cloud in the sky here, so you can't complain.
Lovely. Yeah.
hmm
The beginnings of spring. Spring's on its way.
I know.
Finally.
Yeah.
So I have a lot to unpack here, several questions for you, and I'm excited to just sort of jump right in.
Okay.
So, Priestess Stephanie, how did your spiritual connection to trees begin?
So I was always attracted to botanicals since my early childhood. I've always loved flowers and scented herbs, especially. I remember collecting flowers for my mom and giving her colorful and aromatic bouquets. Don't ask me how I got the flowers. They were in the neighborhood. Um, and then in terms of trees, from the time I could climb them, that's what I did.
Yeah. Did you grow up in
They'd walk up with me and get lost in the arms of the sturdy tree. So those are
yeah,
my early beginnings.
yeah. So did you grow up in a kind of a rural area or?
I did. So at first we were in more of an urban suburb of New York, and then we moved. That was in North Jersey, and then we moved to South Jersey, which is the part that we were in is very rural. It's a wetland.
Ah,
Mm,
nice.
yeah.
So, yeah, when you kind of became attuned to trees and nature, it just sort of clicked with you?
It took a while, but yeah, it did. At first, as a child, I missed my environment that I was born into, that included a lot of my relatives, my cousins, just walking around on sidewalks to get to a store. None of that was there where I grew up. There were no sidewalks in our particular. I even hate to call it a neighborhood. I call it an area because we were on a lake and dirt road led to my home, and we had a slate little walk to the house. And yes, I was surrounded pretty much by water and trees and a dam, a
Wow.
spillway and a dam. So yeah,
Ah,
it was quite rural.
yeah, that's lovely.
Mm.
So, kind of, did you leave that area to go to college? And what did you study in college?
Yeah, so I studied fine art. I was a painting major in
Yeah.
painting, yeah, and minored in ceramics.
Okay.
So, but before that, I have always had a really heavy involvement with all of the arts. I was a dancer very seriously until I was about 18. I was in a traveling troupe and things like that. I also traveled and did poetry readings. I was involved in drama and two choirs.
Oh,
So,
great. So
yeah,
quite creative from the
yeah,
start.
I've always been just very uh, moved by the arts. So, yeah, naturally, I went to art school. There
Mm-hmm.
was a woman on the lake where I grew up, on the other side of it, actually, and she was a painter of some note, and she's African American. And I think when I saw her capture the lake, I started to see a lot. It was a very I can't think of the word right now, but it was a transformative moment to see her capturing the water and the trees and so forth. And then I went on to be moved by the water and trees in a different way than I ever had before. And I started painting myself as well,
Yeah.
landscapes.
Well, I was going to ask you what the subject matter is, but it sounds obviously trees and water and nature.
I did that a lot, particularly when I lived in South Jersey, and at home I'd get my mother to drive me around to different locales. I liked painting barns and creeks and things like that. And then, of course, just where I was very picturesque.
Oh,
But um, in college, I started to do more of still lives, and it was always like plants and produce, vegetables and fruit and things like that. I continued to paint those into graduate school.
oh, nice.
Mhm.
So, how did you begin to study herbalism?
I started that a little bit earlier as well. So we're going like on a seesaw back and forth in time. So
Yeah.
with the herbalism, I was around some people who were ill, who I love, and I wanted to find natural ways to heal them. And I got a hold of the Back to Eden herbal guide,
Mm,
and just was very captivated about all of these different trees and herbs and flowers and roots and stems that you could use to potentially heal people.
yeah,
Yeah.
they have
So,
healing power.
yeah. So I would say I was probably a teenager when I started to dabble.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So what inspires and interests you to write about trees? You're a prolific writer, and we'll get
Yeah.
to your new book a little bit later. But what inspires you to write about trees and African folk traditions?
Yeah. So to extradite the book from just general, generic interest in trees and African American folklore. It's very rich. My work has always focused around the African diaspora, and it is designed to speak heavily to Black and Brown people.
Hmm.
It encompasses, I always like to speak to everyone, but I feel like we are left out of some conversations, and I want to be there with my passions and knowledge to speak of the enormous wealth of wisdom that we have around the forest and trees and herbs.
Yeah.
So it comes natural to me. I love stories too. So, I
Hmm.
write fiction that is built around African American folklore. And so when I see folklore that involves healing plants and trees. It's very captivating to me. And so sometimes in my work, I will retell stories that come from African and African American folklore.
Ah, okay. So you're a keeper of the wisdom of the African ancestry, right?
I hope to be, I try to be. Yeah, one of my uncles said that to me when I was a teenager. He's like, you're going to be the holder of the information for the family. And it was like a big, um, that's a gift,
Yeah.
a insight, but also kind of scary. But it's something that I have tried somewhat to live up to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you have written several books, but you just came out with a new book. Um, and
Yes,
yes, it's called The Healing Tree. It's magnificent for all my listeners. I encourage you to read it. It's wonderful. So, can you tell us a little bit about your new book?
sure. So The Healing Tree is a reboot of The Healing Grove, and that one was published in the late 2000s by Chicago Review Press. It's has a lovely new cover with a black woman immersed in the woods, sort of coming out of the woods with a branch on her um, head, gracing her forehead. It's just really a beautiful work of art that the cover artist did. It has a new, so in addition to the new cover, I wrote a new preface to it that is something very recent and current that happened um, to me in the trees with some other women at a healing retreat. Um, it is the magic around trees from an African American perspective. And the healing tree includes a lot of tree profiles, recipes, rituals, and useful information that involves trees.
Yeah, yeah, it's very full of remedies and um, just found it fascinating looking at some of the tree aspects and what their healing properties were. But they also, in African cultures, trees were also a place for deities, right?
Yes, were and are. Yes.
Are,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yes. Hmm.
as well
Indeed.
as very powerful. You know, they provide shade, they provide healing.
Yes.
Um, there's so many,
Shelter.
yeah,
Yeah. Medicine. A lot.
medicines.
Yeah. A lot of different things. Art, like material for artwork and
Yeah,
drums and things like that. So, yeah, it's quite the full package. The
yeah.
tree.
So when
Yes.
we look at a tree, there's actually so much more going on than
Mhm.
we can ever
Yeah.
imagine.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah, but I was also wondering if do you have a favorite tree?
That's like a really hard question because I have favorite trees. Um, but I think that like the first thing I'll go with the first thing that came to my mind when you asked the question, and that is oak.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sturdy.
Yes. It's powerful and mysterious tree. I think, again, you go back to those early experiences in life, and one powerful one for me is that in Salem County, where the county that I grew up in, it's the oldest county in New Jersey. I think it was established in the 1600s, and we have I always say we have, it's hard for me to realize that it's gone now, but we had a very ancient tree, and it was an oak tree, and it was a very sort of emblematic of the county and very special to our community, so much so that for field trips our teachers would take us to see the Salem oak tree. So
Mm.
naturally that tree in particular, not only going to visit it, like it was a special star, like yeah, but they also grew on our land.
Ah,
So we had swamp oak, we had white oak, um, a lot of different types of oak grow in southern New Jersey. I think there's about seven different types. 17, I'm sorry, not
wow, that's a
seven.
lot of different types.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
hmm And then, like, older, like getting older in life, I discovered angel oak in the lowlands. Are you familiar with that one?
No, I don't think I've ever seen an angel oak.
Mm. So
Uh,
it's a type of oak called live oak
oh,
because yeah, it stays it's evergreen.
I
It
think they have
stays
those in California, right?
yeah, they're sort of spread. They have a wide distribution. They're in Europe, they're in North Africa, they're in Mexico. But there's quite a prominent stand of them in the Low Country and in the South, and there's a lot of like folklore and magic and mystery built around them. Angel Oak is where um, Black folks believe that angels um, reside, and that if you're there and if you're still enough and attentive enough, you can see them.
Oh,
So I had to make my own sojourn with my family in tow to go and visit Angel Oak.
oh, wow. So
Oak trees are really special to me.
I spent a lot of time in the forests of Pacific Northwest,
Yes,
hiking and just around the ancient, firs and pines. And anyway, there's a feeling you get when you're having a connection with a tree. And how would you describe that? I mean, it's hard to put into words, but there's
yes.
such a powerful language and connection, spiritual connection.
Yeah, I noticed that you are pictured in front of a tree. What sort of tree is that? I can't
Um,
tell.
that might be a cedar tree because that was
Yeah.
that was shot in West Seattle.
Okay. Yeah, we had some nice cedar in our yard as well. And I love just looking at your picture and seeing that bit of tree, and also just out straight out my window is a nice birch tree. There are other trees from on each side. They make me feel connected to something larger than myself.
Yeah.
They make me feel blessed and let me know that nature, even in I moved back to a sort of urban suburb with sidewalks and streets and asphalt and all that kind of stuff. But with the trees being there, I also understand nature, the seasons, movement of the wind, and changes in the weather. I like the way it holds snow. Makes me feel content, and it's quiets my spirit.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm, yeah,
And being part of a cycle of life.
yes. hmm We
Uh,
moved to a place in the city. I've only lived really in a city proper, I think, twice, and um, I'm not that young anymore. But
yeah.
so in a long life, and yeah, we moved to a part of the city of Chicago called Pilsen,
Mhm.
which is very rich culturally. It's a predominantly Mexican American area of the city of Chicago. But when I moved there were very few trees. And I felt, I had heard a lot about it in a very sort of exclamations and, accolades for Pilsen. But when I saw that there were no trees, it was kind of hard for me to live there, and I only lived there for a short period of time. I imagine now there are often planting projects and things like that, beautification. So I think there are more trees now than there were at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's weird to be in an area where there's no trees. It really
yeah.
it's a strange and kind of empty feeling.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you are a green witch and hoodoo practitioner as well. So I guess my next question is, how do you blend your spirituality with herbalism? Is it like mind? It contains mind, body, and spirit healing, right?
It does, and, to me, my spirituality is herbalism is my spirituality, I would say, is a very large part of it. So, and it's of the indigenous African healing ways of West Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa in particular. I create teas and brews and potions and elixirs. We like to do herbal and natural. And by natural, I mean more like sea salts or things like that, minerals, rather than the plants, but both indoors and outdoors. And this is something that goes on in the Caribbean, um, in the United States, in Africa, the parts that I'm speaking of.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, creams, balms, salves, ointments, pomades, floral waters, mojo bags, incense, and a lot more. So it all like the magical ways employ plants. We utilize plants and we realize that we're not using them, but borrowing some of their energy and strength to help along with the work.
Mm-hmm. They are our allies
Yes,
in healing, or
yes,
just in general.
yes. Hmm.
That's the way I feel about trees. They are our friends.
Oh, yeah. Hmm. And it's so nice that it's like, it's not, I am highlighting, the ways of the African diaspora, but it's just worldwide, and everybody loves trees,
Yeah.
mostly. Yeah. And they're in the folklore of so many different cultures. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, being a hoodoo practitioner, can you explain a little bit about hoodoo? That's more of a African American
It
based
is.
practice,
It
right?
is African American,
Okay.
and it's a collection of folkloric practices that we have learned, and some people transform them, modernize, because they're from kind of a specific point in time that where a lot of African Americans lived in the South, and yeah, so it continues to evolve and change, but it is the originators of this practices. Dr. Harry Hyatt, documented the practitioners, and 99% of them were Black. So it's not something that is idly said that it's African American. That is the source of it.
Yeah.
And then different cultures, subcultures in America also have their hoodoo practices in Appalachia and so forth.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Hmm.
Huh. Interesting. So, in your new book, you're kind of tying in with your hoodoo practice, your herbalism, and your
Yes.
priestessing.
Yes. I am.
I love it. It's a
Yeah.
what a wonderful way to live your life in sync with nature and the seasons and um, your plant allies. It's a beautiful way to live.
Oh, I know. And I feel really moved, almost to the point of tears when you speak that way of it, because it's true.
It
And
is
I feel really blessed and fortunate to have found this path and to be honoring it and living on it.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm.
So now, a lot of us live in urban and suburban areas, and um, I see a lot of unplanned urban growth, and it
Yeah.
saddens me. They'll tear
Mm,
down trees and older trees, especially, and it just makes me so sad. And then they'll build some houses, pour the concrete, and then
yeah.
they'll plant like new trees, like to line the
Hmm.
street.
I know.
it's it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's terrible to me. How can a tree go through that trauma? I can't
Yeah.
even imagine
I
what it
know.
must
And then the
be.
neighboring trees that loved that tree.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an absurdity. Ugh,
Yeah.
land issues are just there's a lot of turmoil there right now.
Yeah, worldwide
Yeah. Yes.
deforestation
Yes.
is a huge problem. Like how I'm wondering how maybe you have some suggestions of how we, like, just kind of your normal everyday person, can help preserve and protect trees amidst the deforestation and endangered trees.
Yes. So, first of all, like in the epilogue of the book, The Healing Tree,
Hmm.
it's called Seeds of Hope, and I go through a lot of the different organizational work, political aspects, social justice aspects of trees, and the environmental, all of that. Like it's all you have to muster through the magical and so forth, but there's always like it's three, it's a full-bodied um, practice and way of thinking. So we must always also consider those kinds of things that you asked me about. And am so appreciative of your question. Okay, so here we go. You can plant and nurture trees and become a good tree steward yourself. And you can do that like in your home. I have a lemon tree growing in my dining room. I have a money tree growing in my dining room. I have a rubber tree growing there. So, and then in the summer, I bring them outdoors so they can really flourish and become larger.
Mm.
Then supporting communities like here and abroad, especially like, um, in parts of Africa where they are being made more fragile, and the Amazon, support those communities, support projects coming out of there, things that they're making, baskets and different things that you can get your hands on so that money goes back to those communities.
Yeah.
Um, I would support nonprofit organizations that work against deforestation. Because of the, place where I grew up being so instrumental in my life and work, I support an organization that is out of the Pine Barrens. So I do what I can to support that organization. Um, then take your own small steps, like use use like non-wood derived paper alternatives, like bamboo is
Yeah.
one of my favorites, and recycled
Yes.
materials.
Yep.
Yeah, so just like all of that good
Yeah.
stuff. And you may have an arboretum or a conservation area, I'm sure you do, in or near where you live, that you can go and be a part of it, be a part. And this is what you must do when you're in a suburban or
Yeah.
urban environment. You have to travel a little bit, but like, even like in Chicago, I am not in Chicago proper, but I've worked in Chicago, and there are so many different parks. Parks are so important to our city. So, and why I'm zoning out on a particular word that I want to say, to do with conservation and land that we have, and that is just all over the country. Oh gosh, it'll come to me, or you will read about it when you grab the healing tree. You will
Okay.
know exactly what I am talking about. But I
Yeah.
just like this notion of tree stewardship, like
Yes.
just be good stewards. There's an organization here where you can become a like tree caretaker.
Oh,
And
cool.
yeah, so you plant, they train you, you go around to specific areas um, and treat the trees like they should be treated. You help them to get better if they're ill and things like that.
Oh,
Trim
I
them
love
back.
that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Hmm.
So, Stephanie, what are some of your upcoming plans for the future? Do you have workshops or events or
I
sacred
do, I
travel?
do, I do, I do. So
Okay.
I have this like I okay. So, being a writer, you're always like a word or group of words come into your mind, and then you're like, no, I can't say that. It sounds too bold or something. But I have this book coming out, let's just put it like that,
Okay.
called Motherland Herbal, that is being published by Harper One of HarperCollins. And I have illustrated it with spiritual drawings from nature, some sort of
Oh, cool.
semi-abstract, some abstract. I have about 50 plus drawings in there in different materials.
Oh, that's
Um,
so cool because you're an artist.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
and I address topics in many of my previous books, but I expand on them and take them to deeper levels. And then it ends in a very sort of philosophic space. So I'm really proud of that book, really happy that Harper had the faith in me to just say, go with it, do it.
Yeah.
Um, I have a lot of podcasts speaking about the healing tree coming up in the next 2 months.
Hmm.
So be in tune for that. And how you can find out about it is through my social media and so forth. But another thing that I'm super excited about is I have a new educational program that I am spearheading. I am the founder of it, and it's called Earthwise Spirituality.
Mm.
And it's a 6-month apprenticeship with me and just exploring my life's work. I'm sharing it with new generations, with different people,
And,
and
and passing your legacy on or keeping it alive.
hopefully, hopefully, and
Yeah.
it's online primarily, but also parts of it it's hybrid, but it is primarily online, so people all around the world can participate.
Oh,
Doesn't matter.
fantastic.
Yeah. So
So,
that
how can people find out about you? Can you tell us your website?
Sure, yeah. So my website is my name, so super easy to remember, www.stephanierosebird.com. I mentioned my social media, so I am a very busybody on Instagram, and Instagram connects into my Facebook page. My Instagram, if you want to follow me, is at S period R period bird, BIRD. Never the YRD. I don't know what that is, but that's not my name. I'm the bird, the creature that flies. Um, yeah, so the Instagram and Facebook are connected, and those are the places that I'm the most active.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, we're almost out of time here, but it's been an honor chatting with you today, and I
Thank
really thank
you.
you for your passion, your radiance in all the service that you do with sacred nature and healing and the divine. So, thank you.
Thank you, Bridget, and thank you for these beautiful and inspired questions that invite me to dig into my heart and soul and my childhood memories and evolution. I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think it's really
Mhm.
important to understand what influences we had when we are younger as we go
Yes,
on our spiritual journey. It's just, it all comes together. But
it does. You never think. will, but it absolutely does.
Yeah. So thank you again, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and blessed be.
Blessed be.
Bye bye.
Bright blessings, everyone. Bye bye.